All right, good morning. Hopefully you're out building some stuff. I know that gets hard depending on the resources you have, and I want to show you a couple ways to glue some things up maybe to help you out. So whenever you're attaching boards together on the edge with the grain going together or on the faces, that is a very strong joint, and all you really need for that is glue. You don't need any fasteners if the grain's going the same way, and those fibers will be stronger than the glue itself. When I was in college, we glued up a whole bunch of blanks like this. We put biscuits in some, we put all kinds of different fasteners like nails and things, and then we put them in a machine that would pull them apart to test the tensile strength. And what we found was that the glue joint would break right next to the glue, but it wouldn't actually break the glue. So if this is done well, your glue will be stronger than the wood itself. So that's why over the years I haven't recommended using biscuits or anything. If you're gluing this way and you clamp it really good, it's going to really hold up well. So sometimes when you put biscuits in there, it actually makes it worse, because then when you go to cut it, you're going to expose the biscuit, and then it's going to give you an undesirable look on the end of the board. The problem is you might not have clamps at home, so I want to try to help walk you through that a little bit. First of all, you can use Elmer's school glue. With some of the tests we ran, we found out that Elmer's worked almost as good as the professional grade wood glue. The biggest difference is it skims over, it dries a lot quicker, so you have to work a lot faster. So you don't want to try to glue up a bunch of boards. You just want to work a lot faster. If you are gluing up a lot of boards, you want to use a roller or something to spread the glue a lot faster. But this will work almost just as good. So a lot of you have this at home. You might not have this at home, but you probably have this at home, and this will do the job. Just have to make sure you clamp it and give it some time to dry. So what I mean by skim over is once you put it on, it's going to start to dry, really quick. So you want to hurry up. You're going to apply to both edges, right? Double spread, and then you want to push those together before they start to cure or harden over. So one of the things that there's several ways you can do this. One way, you could find some big heavy-duty rubber bands, and a lot of people have rubber bands around the house. These are some really big ones. You could double that up, and you'd want at least 2 or 3, as many as you have on that you can fit on your boards. But some big heavy-duty rubber bands will actually work pretty good for gluing things up. Ratchet straps, I have 2 different styles here. On a bigger project, ratchet straps work really good to hold something together while it glues. This is a common item. A lot of people have this around in their garage, even bungee cords and things like that. So you might have to get creative. Another way is so this was a board I set up for a customer that I put finish on it, and it was just a sample board. It's still kind of nice, so I just did the end, but I drilled a couple holes in it, and then I'm going to put some bolts underneath it here. So I drilled holes that are the same diameter as the bolts, and you could really use pretty much any size bolt. The bigger the bolt, maybe the better it would be. But whatever you have laying around, you can use, and they don't all have to be the same size. You could have 4 different size diameter bolts. But you're going to push this down. Remember, this is like our scrap board. This is a sacrificial board you just have laying around that isn't really important to you. And then these would be my project. So I put my glue on here just like I was explaining. And then you set this in between the bolts. And then you're going to have some wedges. And you're going to have this ready before you put the glue on. But these wedges, you can cut on your whatever you can find to cut with these. But remember, this would be like the scrap piece. So you have your long piece, and then you cut the scrap off. Don't try to hold this real close to where you're cutting, because obviously your fingers would be too close. But these are some wedges, and you want some kind of a little bit longer wedges. So this is a good one here. This one's probably a little bit stubby here, but it might still work. So you're going to put the wedges in between the bolts and your, where you're trying to glue here. And it's going to help press that together for you. And then you can take a hammer and you can kind of drive them in, to give them some more pressure. It's as tight as you can get these, really, is what you're trying for. And then that will act as a clamp. It works really good. We used to do these out of fishnets, so we'd be gluing up a bunch of layers for a fishnet. We'd have all these holes around it. We'd put these metal blocks in, and then use these wedges. Because it was a really odd shape, you had to use a whole bunch of clamps, and this helps save on clamps. But this way works really well too. Now the one thing you got to be careful with is you want to put down some plastic or paper, because you don't want it to glue to your bottom board, right? So you're going to put something down on this side, probably be okay because this board has a finish on it. But you know, for what you're doing, you might want to put down some saran wrap. That's probably the best, or wax paper maybe would be even a little bit better. Right up against here, or even a piece of masking tape, like wherever your glue joint is, you put a couple pieces of that blue painter's tape would be good, because you don't want it to stick to that. So now you just have to be patient. A lot of people are not patient with the glue drying process. You know, you got to let that sit for like at least 4 hours before you take it out of the clamps. When I was working at the college, I had a colleague of mine that didn't really follow that rule. Man, I watched him put boards to the planer several times, and they'd be all glued up, and then they'd fall apart as they came out of the planer. But, and you can set this up for different kinds of glue joints, you know, it could be like this. I mean, it doesn't have to be flat boards, you know, because you're probably not going to be gluing up a lot of flat boards right now to run through a planer, but you might be doing some of this kind of stuff. So this kind of would help you out. Clamps are hard to come by. I mean, over the years, I've collected a lot of clamps, but they're really expensive, and a lot of people just don't have very many laying around their house. You might have one or two if you're lucky. The cheapest kind of clamps are the pipe clamps, where you take the black threaded pipe that you can buy at a home improvement store, and you thread on the clamps on the end. So I'll get you one of those and show you. These are called pony pipe clamps. So this is a piece of black pipe. It was black, it's been used a lot. And these just screw on the end. So you can buy this clamp unit, they're only like $10, so they're pretty affordable. And they just thread onto this black pipe. So the black pipe has some threads on it, and then this piece just slides over. So you can, the pipe isn't terribly expensive, then you can have them thread the end for you. I'm not telling you to run to the Home Depot right now or anything, but this is a really affordable clamp that you can put on your wish list for someday. And you know, I've used these for years because these are the only ones I can afford, and they provide a lot of pressure, so you can really achieve a good glue joint. The one problem is they tend to pop the board up a little. They're not very parallel. So what I mean by that is these the pressure points kind of pinch it to where it's not very parallel. So you have to be careful. You might have to put another clamp holding it down and things like that. But they're very, I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with them, and really affordable and cheap. You can make them as long as you want. I mean, pipe comes in, I think this kind of pipe comes in 20-foot sections, so you can have a really long clamp. All right, just wanted to show you some gluing tips so you can maybe get something done at home. Take care.